Hey, trust you guys are having a good evening. It's another evening of basketball talk, or at least I hope so. You can certainly find me on Jay Fuller Interviews, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But bringing up some of the boys that ran Harwood basketball, Jay Bellows and Pat McHugh. Gentlemen, good to see you.
Hey guys.
So, Jay, I'm going to start with you, and we will start with a Harwood question. This was your first year coaching high school basketball. What was that experience coming in, knowing it would be rebuilding, but just seeing what you have and what you have to work with for the future?
Jesus, that's a loaded question, buddy. It was great. Had a great experience. Big part of it was, the guys that I got to work with, Pat and Josh, and Brett. A pretty diverse group, really fun group, and I think it made it worthwhile. We had great seniors this year, and I don't say that just because your kid was one of them. But really great seniors that they may not have been the most incredibly talented group. All of them brought their own talents to the table, but were really great at kind of keeping the group together, which I think was really important this year. I've been watching for a little while, not nearly as long as Pat, but certainly talking to Pat about it and others and yourself and some of the other parents whose kids were involved in the program. And, they've kind of just struggled through it for a long time. And, I heard a lot of kids that I had helped when they were younger kind of voice displeasure and maybe even not playing again and all kinds of stuff. So it was really important for me to come in and try to make it fun again this year. And I think the kids all had a really good time. And I think they all got a lot better as the season progressed. And it's difficult to come in and change a program in its entirety. And I don't say that as a negative to before. I just say it as, we made a lot of changes. We changed, they ran an offense before that was more of a stagnant offense, the dribble drive, and we brought motion. I mean, you can't be any more different than that. And the kids took to it. I mean, it took them a little bit, but we won our first game out of the gate and had some ups and downs from there, and some complacency, certainly just kind of going back into the older offense. But as a whole, I was very pleased with what happened. I was bummed that we didn't make the playoffs, which is, mostly just for the kids. But, I think as a whole, I think they did a really nice job. And I'd like to, I think the whole program as a whole has taken a big step. And, we were fortunate that both Tom on the girls' side and myself on the boys' side were able to pick our coaches all the way down, which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Pat put in his time this year for sure, kind of all over the place. And I think may not have been all that upset that AAU was.
Pat, we're going to jump to you right now. Jay looks like he's frozen, but being an alum of Harwood, what was it like for you to be back a part of the program and just seeing these kids where you were just, a decade or so ago?
Yeah, a decade or two. No, it was really fun. It was really fun to be back in the gym. Coming up through high school, I was always a gym rat. That was where I spent a great portion of my day in the gym, helping with all the programs. And so it was nice to be back. And, it was nice to see some spark in it again and see, some good things happening. See the boys smiling, see the excitement going on. I got a very unique experience this year. We helped out at the JV and varsity level, and also then coached at the 8th grade level, as well as doing a mini metro team. And so it was great to see, we can start to now coach from what we're trying to do at the varsity level. We can now bring that all the way back down to 7th, 8th, 5th, 6th, running the same program all the way through it. It allows us to teach the things that we want to see them learning at the high school level all the way down through. And, I've had the privilege of coaching with Jay and Derek and these guys at the younger levels. And now to just see that starting to grow, even at the JV level, it's starting to take a hold because the kids have seen it now for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And so seeing that consistency is awesome. And for me, it gives me a lot of hope for Harwood basketball in years to come. Seeing these young guys.
Yeah, and for me, I'm a huge basketball junkie. I think we all are. But Jay, could you just talk about being a kid and growing up? Was it basketball that drew your attention first, or were there other sports you played as a child?
My family was very focused on sports, so we played everything. Full all 3 seasons. Um, so I always just loved sports, and in our town we had a good group of kids. Um, in my grade, the grade above, and the grade below.
Pat, where'd you grow up?
Nope. I actually grew up right here. This is hometown for me. Grew up in Waitsfield. Rode my bike over the hill to play hoops behind Maxie's at the courts. Grew up playing with guys like Craig Breen, Travis Taylor, those guys that are HU alums and 1,000-point scorers. And so, from a very young age, I was very involved with the basketball program, and did cross country in the fall to kind of get in shape for the basketball season, just so I could slack a little bit over the summer. And then spent my spring playing golf or doing track and field, or just like Jay said, playing sports always. And basketball was always my number one for sure.
Now, do you think it was a benefit going to a smaller school where they did not have football or some of the other competing sports?
I think there were times that I went back and forth. I would have loved to have played football. That was actually the one sport that I kind of was, always wishing we had. And then at the same time going, I wonder if that would have taken my focus, or potential injuries, the things that could have happened that would have affected, my basketball, which I ended up, going to college. I went to Endicott College to play basketball. I ended up switching and playing volleyball actually at Endicott College, which was a blast. And but always wondered kind of what that would have been like. What would that have looked like to have those other things available? So
Yeah, my cousin went to Endicott. She actually played hockey at Rice and then went down. She really loved that experience. Jay, good to have you back. Did you have to yell at Toby to get off the Wi-Fi, or?
I have no idea what's going on. Honestly, I thought he was on the PlayStation or something. I went downstairs, guns a-blazing, and he wasn't even there. So,
Oh, man, that's all good. Jay, we'll get back to you. With basketball, you've had the opportunity to play at several different levels. What type of role models meant the most for you?
it's not going to be what everyone expects. I had a coach, and this is why I love working with little kids so much, and trying to expand as much as we can here in our little town. I had a coach. His name was Mr. Burns, Bill Burns, and he really kind of established our group of kids in my hometown, and took time out of his day, out of his week, out of his month, everything. Brought us to gyms, and was just really instrumental in the development of all of us. My high school team was very good, went to the state finals multiple years in a row. Really big, talented team, and I think all 5 of us played college basketball starters. So just really solid, and a lot of that was because of Mr. Burns and his willingness to help us and establish travel teams and AAU teams and all kinds of stuff. And he really was the inspiration for me to do the same thing here. I mean, my kids love the sport, but there just wasn't there was no AAU, there wasn't any mini metro or anything like that. So establishing that was all really kind of just based on the fact that he did it for me and all of us, and I was so appreciative, for that.
Jay, where did you grow up?
In Greenfield, Massachusetts.
And so I remember one of the first times I played with you. It was several years ago now, but you're about 6'4", 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, get to the post. Why is this guy just shooting threes? How different is it for you being in Vermont, where 6'4", 6'5", it's a center for a lot of high schools?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that I struggled with a little bit this year in coaching, is just trying to establish roles, for the kids. And, one of our seniors, Michael, your son, was 6'1", and, he probably played as big as anybody. Chris was also about 6'1". He also played real big. So honestly, our starting point guard, I think, was 6'2". We'd go on and off with other guys, myself. So I would be, I was a 2 or 3. I was 6'5". We had a 6'10" kid. We had a 6'9" kid. We had, a lot of big kids. So Massachusetts basketball is very different it's not any better or any worse. It's just different. I think here the level of play, can be higher because it's more fundamental. And so that was a little bit of a learning curve for sure.
And I'm going to bring Pat on for you, Jay, to talk about your staff with Brett Hill, Josh Olney. How important is it to have coaches that you trust, but also that you listen to?
Oh, I don't think I listen to them at all. No, I'm just kidding. No, you know what? I think, everybody dealt with me very well this year. I tend to be very passionate, I think is the word. And so, I could go right through them all. Josh is a golf pro, right? He's got wicked patience, just unbelievable. Amanda may disagree, but really patient guy, incredibly, he's soft spoken, but when he talks, it has a lot of weight. So he was a great addition. I've been coaching with Pat for a long time, so I knew what Pat was going to bring, a lot of hard work and dedication and understanding, and he knows Pat knows where I want to go, and is really a huge part of getting us there, even on a daily. If there was something he couldn't do immediately, he would take great stats and then come in and back a statement with stats. Just really have a high understanding of the game, which was awesome. And Brett, when I first met Brett, I coached his son Cole when he was in third grade, and Brett was quiet. I was like, man, I don't think this guy likes me. Like, I didn't know what was going on. He's probably the funniest guy I know, and just he's a wicked sweetheart, just a great guy. He cares about all the kids. He has incredible connection to them all. I think he's a nickname guy. He brings a lot to the table, not just in basketball knowledge. He played for a long time as well. His dad was a coach, all kinds of things. But he brings a piece that I don't think the rest of us have. I tend to be a little jovial, not quite as much as Pat. Pat can be a little bit more of a hard ass. That'll get a laugh out of him. And I think what Brett brings to the table is he knows the line, and there's a lot of pictures in the papers this year of me almost exploding and him holding onto my leg or my shirt or holding me down in the chair. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. So, his role was very difficult too, because while he wants to express himself, he's got to look out for me, which is not easy either. I think I may be twice his size. I'm not sure. But so he did a great job. And he and I talk a lot, multiple times a week, even just about next year and all kinds of stuff. So everybody brought something to the table, and it was huge. And not to continue to blow sunshine up the backside of Pat, but for him, it was not easy because he's going from 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade mini metro to 8th grade school team to the high school. The poor guy, we have all the same plays, but we don't name them all the same things. So this will be the last year that happens. I can tell you that. But he's yelling plays. He's like, oh my God, no, wait, what grade are we in right now? He's trying to work his way through. So it was great. We had great coaches. Eric Nelson was a coach for us. Derek Martins, as Pat mentioned, was a great coach for us. And, he thought, all kinds of guys all the way down. And, we're backfilling all of those this coming year. So the program's growing nicely. This is what we want. And I think, as you're fully aware, that the kids that we have that were 8th grade and freshmen this past year, won the state for mini metro in their 8th grade year. Really talented group. We got a couple kids coming up that show a lot of promise. So we're excited about what it's going to bring. This year is a big year for us, not because I think we're going to win the state. I would love to have that opportunity, but we still have a lot of growth to go. But this is one of those step years, it's a really important step to get to the rung that we want to get to, and especially for the younger kids to develop. So really looking forward to getting in and just praying that I just recognize that I'm on the phone. I'm on this with two pastors. I'm praying that this COVID thing goes away so that we can have a season,
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Jay, I'm going to drop you down so Pat, you can answer honestly. There's something about being an assistant that can be difficult. And do you trust the head coach? I think it shows humility on your end when you have been the head coach at different levels, different positions. What is it about Jay's leadership that you admire and you will kind of swallow what you have to say for the sake of the team because you know Jay's direction that he's taking the program?
So, like Jay said, we've had the privilege of coaching together for many years. His son Toby and my son Josh are the same age, so we collaborated on their teams. And one of the things that I respect most about Jay is he's not somebody who's just standing on the sidelines telling what to do. He's always in with the kids. He's always playing. He's always even working through injury. He had a couple this year. As we all age, we injure differently and heal differently. And yet that never stopped him from jumping right in with the guys to not just to stand on the sideline and tell them what to do, but to show them how to do it, to get in there and play and sweat with them and grind with them. And to me, that's the stuff that takes a good coach to being a great coach. Those are the coaches that I remember, the coaches that didn't just yell, that got in and played and worked through the structure and showed you and gave you, real life experiences. And, and I think that was the part that I always loved to watch Jay and their grinding with the boys. And, one of the great moments for us, I know for me personally, it wasn't even for Jay, was, the boys saw Eric Nelson walk in the gym one night and all you heard was, "Oh no, what's he doing here?" And to hear that though, it's, these are the guys that we're bringing in to train these kids, to teach them how to play. And that's what takes them to the next level. They're not going to get to the next level on their own. And so, having these guys that are willing to go in and bang, and even though it hurts, we were all talking after one of the times we've been running, like, oh, none of us are going to sleep all the night. We're going to be icing for hours, and yet we do it because that's what earns the respect of these kids, and Jay never demanded respect. Jay earns respect. And that to me goes just such a long way. And especially being, I don't know how long Jay has officially been a Waterbury guy, but he hasn't been a Harwood guy, a program guy for years like Brett or myself or some of these guys who have legacy. He came in and he didn't demand respect. He absolutely has earned it all the way. And that just goes so far in community and community building. It's just very easy to get behind a guy who's getting his hands dirty every day.
Now, I agree, but there's a lot of smoke being blown. So let's move on a little bit. This COVID-19.
No, he got a shot in there. You heard the old comment. I heard it. I've known Pat a long time. There was a message.
We're the same age, though. Hey,
listen, I cracked 40 this year. All right, I'm in the club.
So, Jay, AAU, I personally think because Vermont AAU can be a money grab, I think it's a necessary evil. How disappointed were you that AAU did not happen this year?
I was really disappointed, actually. This was, I think, a big year for all four of our age groups. I really wanted to reestablish the high school team. I was really excited. We had a couple good coaches to take that group. And like I said, that younger group is a pretty talented group. And I think they really could have done something. And I'm not talking about, winning tournaments and stuff like that. I just mean develop. And, with that 7th and 8th grade group was the same thing. And even the youngest group, was really solid as well. In fact, the youngest group won state for mini metro as well and didn't lose a game the entire year. So, it would have been, I think it would have been a great developmental year. And, we were even talking about doing clinics with the young kids and all kinds of stuff. And, I really wanted to get into a summer league. It looks like the summer leagues are not going to happen now too. So, I'm developing programs for all the kids individually, things that they need to work on and what to do with drills and all kinds of stuff. And as a credit to, I think, where the program is going, a lot of kids have reached out and said the same thing. What can we do? I know you talked about this during the season. How do I do that? What do I do? And I think that losing the AAU season is going to be tough, but I don't think we can recover from it. It's certainly not unrecoverable. And I hope that the kids this summer do what we all used to do before PlayStations and Xboxes and all that stuff. And that's just, go to the park. I can tell you our park didn't have glass backboards and release rims, right? The stuff here is pretty nice, and I have a 72-inch glass backboard at my house. The kids are more than welcome to come here and play, and we certainly have resources for the kids to get better. I can tell you what, my poor kids during this, I'm sure that they would rather be at school, but they do their schooling, and then they do a jumping program and a weight program, and then they go and do ball handling for an hour. That's every day. And I'm sure if Heidi's watching this right now, she's probably laughing because her dad did the same thing to her. But they want to do it. I'm not making them do it. They're asking me. So that's where we're going as a program, and I think that's a really big deal. And I'm hopeful that we can continue that progress.
Well, definitely turn that corner from a hobby, which basketball has been for some of the seniors that you had this year, to actually a strong program where people just don't want to play in the off season, but this is what they want to focus on. It's a big testament to what you guys are undertaking, but for the success of Harwood basketball in the future. Pat, I'm going to get to you because you shared something off air. I don't know if you're shared now, but this COVID-19 quarantine, what have you found yourself doing, watching, enjoying more than you used to?
Yeah.
We spent, my wife and I obviously are very into the music side of things. We've been spending actually a lot of time streaming and producing music, which has been a lot of fun. We broke down our dining room table and set up the drum set, so we've been able to have drums in the house. And I think it was day 3 of quarantine, I went out and bought a new backboard and mounted that on the so Josh could get his shots in. We actually spent a bunch of time. We've been working on a recording studio, which has been great, in our garage, and so we've had a lot of projects going on. And I said I wouldn't share it on air, but I will. I ended up getting into Tiger King.
Pat Exotic. There you go.
Pat Exotic made me feel way better about myself. I needed a little pick me up one day and just binged right through it in the morning. And so no, I went down the wrong road on that one. But I've also, as we talked about, we've been watching The Last Dance. I'm catching up to the latest one here, and what a great time to release that. What a great time to remember. Sometimes the farther out you get, you forget the greatness. And to see it kind of back all kind of in one motion has been really, really cool. And I think that's been my most recent. If I'm going to watch something, I'm going to watch The Last Dance for sure.
Well, for sure. We have a couple questions. Then I'll get you guys out. Thanks again for joining. But Jay, being a business owner, how have you been affected? Your employees? How are you as a business owner, not the coach, dealing with all this?
We're fortunate. First, we were deemed by Department of Homeland Security and the governor here as necessary. So we were able to work through it. We have 25 people, 2 facilities. So what we did was 2 of my staff jumped out ahead of this.
It's kind of glitching again, Pat.
Yep.
Hey, so we'll come back to Jay.
Oh, there he is. Maybe.
Yeah. Hey, I just dropped him out. It's kind of like he has 4 fouls now. I don't know. But save him for the end, fourth quarter. Hey, The Last Dance. When you think about Michael Jordan getting in a fight with Steve Kerr, the gambling issues they talked about last, which I actually probably was kind of cool because they showed the human side. But when you see such a prolific professional athlete, best ever, what comes to mind of what it takes to reach that level?
Well, it's interesting because, I graduated in 98. So as we were growing up, Jordan was it. I was at the end of the Bird era and the Johnson era. I remember those guys, but Jordan was it. And all you really heard about and saw was the work ethic side. It was the piece where he, didn't make his first team and then had to work his way on, and he would take X amount of shots, and he would do this and he would do that. And all you heard about was that work ethic. And I tell you, it inspired me in so many ways to put in the time. Nothing good comes for free. Nothing good comes without some effort involved. And like I said, I mean, I lived in Waitsfield, which was 7, 8, 9 miles from Waterbury here, and I used to ride my bike up and over the hill before I had a car. And if I couldn't do that, then I was shooting on the hoop in our backyard with dirt underneath it, not because it was the most fun thing to do, but because it was what you knew you needed to do to get better. And I think that's the piece that Jordan just he was a grinder, man. He had the talent, he had the athletic ability, but more than anything, he knew how to grind. He knew how to, and I think that showed in other aspects of his life in a negative way. But on the basketball court, it was always a positive. He knew how to get the best out of the people around him, and that was sometimes harder talk, and you saw a lot of conflict with him and a lot, but he, at the end of the day, knew how to produce, and that was something that always was evident in his game.
Yeah, and thanks, guys, again for making some time tonight. Jay, I'll get you out on this question, and that's very similar. Yourself, and as we mentioned, Eric Nelson played at a very high level. There's something different about you cats where it's not, hey, I'm going to play, then I'm going to have fun. You guys would have fun, but you were all about winning, and that certainly is a benefit to the program. But what happens if a kid just wants to have fun? Do they have to get used to being on the bench?
No. I mean, we have a couple kids that are, goofballs, have fun. I think one of the things that is really important for us to do is to teach these kids life skills as well. And being accountable and responsible and knowing when and how to act in different ways and different times is really important. And so take that really seriously. If we're in the middle of a very intense discussion and the kid is, joking around, then we run, right? I mean, we try to teach and instill, really important life lessons like accountability and responsibility and knowing when and how to do things. So if a kid just wants to have fun, absolutely. The only thing I could see as a negative to that, Jeff, is that, we had, 38 kids try out last year. The numbers are only going to increase. So the only thing I would say as a negative to the kid that just wants to have fun is, as long as they're working on their game and they can get into that number, right? I mean, we'll probably have 24 kids next year between the two programs. I think we're going to try to really, ratchet it down just a little bit so that it's much more controllable. If a kid is not taking it seriously and he's not, within the top 25 kids, then, unfortunately that kid won't have a place on the team. Yeah. So there's a fine line. There's a couple of kids I can think of. One of my favorites is Boone Marr, who is, he's always a bit of a goofball. He's a great kid. He has fun, and he's learning how to do it at the right time. And he's done a really good job with that. And I'm hoping that continues because he brings a level of fun to the game for myself included, So, yeah, I mean, there's always a place for fun in basketball. Certainly is not a job for anybody else, but the coaching staff. The kids just need to work hard and get better and want to get better. It's more fun when you're better, right?
That's a fact.
And so I think that's kind of where the line is for that.
I had to laugh today because I heard the governor say that we could return to the parks, but we would have to social distance. And I said, this is perfect because I've never played defense in my life. And now I have a legitimate excuse not to. So, hey, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, where was this when we were growing up, right?
Yeah, no.
But, gentlemen, thanks so much. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care, bud.
See ya.
And again, my name is Jeff Fuller. You can find more interviews, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Jay Fuller Interviews is where you can find me, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.